You can do it.
Good afternoon. As Comrade Nardine said, my name is Ange. I'm a lifelong New Yorker, a longtime member of Within Our Lifetime, and a proud Jewish anti-Zionist.
Yes.
On Saturday, I, along with dozens of others, were brutally attacked by the NYPD for the simple crime of commemorating the 76th anniversary of the Nakba and protesting the ongoing genocide in Gaza. During the protest, I was thrown to the ground, choked, and punched multiple times by Lieutenant Joan Ferreira of the 28th Precinct in Harlem.
Shame!
Footage that has now been seen across the country and around the world that has exposed once again the NYPD's brutality in defense of the genocide in Gaza and across Palestine. Sadly, I was just one of many who was brutalized by the NYPD when they violently stormed Bayridge on Saturday during Within Our Lifetime's annual Nakba Day rally. During this time, they targeted the largest Palestinian Arab community in New York City with indiscriminate violence. They pushed, grabbed, tackled, punched, pepper sprayed, beat with batons, and arrested women, mothers, teenage girls, minors, young men, and journalists alike. Muslim women and girls were subjected to having their hijabs forcibly ripped off with impunity. This level of violence was truly a reflection, as so many have said already today, of the fascist training and partnership between the NYPD and the Israeli occupation forces. And what did the mayor have to say about this? What did Mayor Adams have to say? He said that the NYPD did a commendable job.
Shame!
Shame!
I'll tell you, from my vantage point on the ground, it did not look like a commendable job. All of this took place on the 76th anniversary of the Nakba in 1948, when nearly 1 million Palestinians were ethnically cleansed from their land, dozens of massacres, over 530 villages destroyed or depopulated. History, as Nardine has said time and time again, that is not taught in schools, that does not get attention in the mainstream media. And this is all happening yesterday and the day before and the day before that. And on Saturday, as the bombs continue to fall on Gaza, where over 40,000 Palestinians have been massacred in the past 7.5 months. As I speak, this very moment, Kamal Adwan Hospital is under siege and bombardment. Rafah and Jabalia continue to be carpet bombed. And just hours ago in Jenin in the West Bank, because the genocide is not only happening in Gaza, occupation forces murdered 7 Palestinians, including multiple students, a teacher, and a doctor. What we saw on Saturday and what I experienced is a testament, as so many have already said, to just how far the NYPD will go to defend the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people and try to silence anyone who dares stand up against it.
Shame!
Since Saturday, it has also been brought to our attention that Lieutenant Ferreira served in the Marines as part of the genocidal U.S. occupation of Iraq that resulted in the death of over 1 million Iraqis. If Ferreira attacked me with such brutality, one can only imagine the violence he carried out against Iraqis during his tour, and the violence that he carries out day in and day out against black and brown people in Harlem near the 28th Precinct.
Talk about it.
His profile on 50a.org, if you're not familiar with that website, shows a long history and record of abuse of authority, one that all of you in the media should be focusing not only for Lieutenant Ferreira, but for every last police officer who can be identified on camera. That is your job as the press, to hold them to account. You have the information, you have the resources, start writing about them and the details of not only what happened on Saturday, but what has been happening for years. For years. Sorry for yelling.
That's okay. That's okay.
In the aftermath of Saturday, the mayor and the NYPD top brass, as has been said, has tried to paint those of us who were arrested as outside agitators. I may not live in Bayridge, but to paraphrase Ghassan Kanafani, the cause of the Palestinian people, as Nardine just said as well, is not the cause of the Palestinians alone, but the struggle against Zionism, racism, oppression, and genocide is one that does not start or stop in a neighborhood or in one community, but it is the cause of all those who stand for justice and liberation and humanity. I may not be Palestinian by nationality, but I am Palestinian in my heart. I have been honored to be a part of Within Our Lifetime for over 8 years, during which time I've had the distinct privilege to participate in WOL's annual Nakba Day rallies, spend much time on 5th Avenue in this very community, attending and participating in cultural and educational events at local community centers and youth programs organized by Within Our Lifetime, to eat in the amazing restaurants along Fifth Avenue, including Alexa Bakery, which we were so lucky. It's so fitting because I was going to mention Alexa. So, and the hospitality is unmatched in Palestine and also in Bayridge here on Fifth Avenue. I have been welcomed into this community and to the Palestinian struggle for liberation, and it is the honor of a lifetime, truly. This is something that Mayor Adams and NYPD Deputy Commissioner Kaz Daughtry, if you're listening, and the entirety of the NYPD, this is something they do not have the capacity to understand, and they never will. I am still a bit shaken up after what happened to me on Saturday, but my head is held high. And I want to close out with a very simple message to anyone who might be listening. Whatever we go through here in the belly of the beast, around the world, the repression that people are facing right now for standing up against this genocide, we have a simple message. We will not stop centering Gaza. We will not stop fighting for Palestine. And we will not stop resisting this insanity until liberation and return from the river to the sea within our lifetime. Thank you.
As you all heard and many have experienced, our annual Nakba Day rally is always a family-friendly rally and march, and this year the NYPD wanted to intimidate families from coming out and bringing out their children. That is why they stationed correction buses earlier in the day. That is why they brought out barricades the night before for the first time in this rally's history. But the mothers and the children and the families of our community are not afraid, because they understand that while they care for their children here, there are 15,000 children who have been killed in Gaza. And there are tens and hundreds of thousands of children more who continue to suffer starvation, malnourishment, who continue to suffer disease and no shelter as a result of this genocide. And so I would like you all to give it up to our next speaker, Nasreen, the founder of Mamas for Palestine.
I wasn't scheduled to speak, so I was just put on the spot. So I'm gonna speak my truth. Growing up, I was told that this country is a melting pot, and that's what makes this country so democratic and amazing, that different cultures get to come together and experience each other. But growing up, that's not what I experienced. But growing up, that's not what I got to experience. Growing up, I felt that I always had to prove how American I was. I wasn't able to embrace my culture, embrace my religion. Palestine was made as a joke, or you're from Pakistan, you're Israel. So we had to just kind of put it off to the side and just constantly prove how American we were. And I've been passive and I had low self-esteem growing up all my life because of that. And then as a mother, I never taught my kids hate, and I taught my kids to never bully anyone based on their ethnicity or their religion, especially never as any Jewish people, because we're all from the Abrahamic religions, and we all respect each other, because that's what Islam is about. We respect the life of human beings, which is unlike the Zionists, what they teach their children. But so I brought my kids out on Saturdays. I've been doing for years. People always bring out their families to celebrate our culture, our heritage, our history, because we will never forget, and we pass it on from generation to generation. As we're born, we all know the history. It's embedded in our DNA. But this Saturday was a completely different look. As soon as I hit the street, I saw cops with their batons out in a look in our eyes that was very intimidating. They had the zip ties ready, but I still had my kids out. I had one of my daughter's friends come running up to me crying, and I said, "What happened to you?" And she said that she was filming one of the NYPD officers choking a journalist to the ground, and the NYPD officer pushed her, and we have clear footage of it. And I went up to the captain and I said, "One of your officers pushed this minor. What are you gonna do about it?" And he just shrugged it off with a smirk and walked off.
Shame.
Later on, we found out that another girl, 15-year-old, was assaulted with full clear footage that we could share. And also, she was arrested for simply holding a megaphone.
Shame.
Shame.
So I don't need anyone to tell me stories. I saw it with my own eyes. I filmed it with my own camera. And constantly through the night, people were sending me more and more footage. And even though I was there, it just became more and more disturbing and more sickening. But as I had my daughter there and I had her friend that was shaking and very shaken up, especially after seeing the hijabis with their hijabs off, as their friends are hysterical saying, please put her hijab back on, and the cops shrugging it off and laughing. I told these girls, you are never gonna be afraid the way my generation grew up, being afraid of being Palestinian, being an Arab, being a Muslim. I'm not gonna stop bringing out my kids, and you're not gonna stop coming out. We're gonna come out week after week, and our numbers are gonna continue to grow, and it shows since October 7th, our numbers have only grown, our diversity has grown, and obviously just from a visual picture, when you see out the Zionists, and you see white supremacists, and you see our side with a sea of diversity of religions and ethnicities, you can tell who's on the right side of history.
Thank you.
So to all the mothers, we're not gonna stop bringing out our kids. That tradition of being afraid, being kept under the radar that we are raised, those days are over. And at Mamas for a Free Palestine, we say a mother's love transcends borders, because we believe whether you're down the block in Bayridge or you're across the world in Gaza, you should open your heart and bear the pain of the mothers of Gaza, and you should see your children in the eyes of those that are dying. And if you're not, you're clearly inhumane and you're unfit to call yourself a parent. And that's not what we're teaching our kids. We're teaching our kids to stand for justice and humanity, and we will no longer be afraid, and we're gonna keep continuing fighting, and NYPD is not gonna intimidate any of us.
As you all heard multiple stories of women having their hijab ripped off, I'd also like to tell you about one of our own members who is a lawyer who went up to someone who was being arrested to invoke their rights for them as their lawyer, as her legal right to do so. And she also had her hijab ripped off and was not allowed to put it back on. So this